All right, everybody, welcome. It's a pleasure. I'm so glad that we got some time for questions. I'm going to do a short little intro so you know who I am, what we're going to cover, and then I'm just going to hop right into it. First, some of the things that I thought we could cover today that I've been playing around with recently, and we may not get to everything, but we're going to try AI logos, some recent image upscaling stuff, and even some video things that have been really cool. And so there's going to be a little bit of news. I'm switching it up a little bit today with a little bit of cool, like what's happened in the last week. And then also, we're going to talk about custom chatbots and how something that I thought was kind of gimmicky, I really believe to be the future of like really how we're going to be dealing with AI. It's kind of a funny term, chatbot, but it's got a profound implications for everything from our life to how we work and play and how we, especially with our work too, how we deal both internally with data and processes, as well as externally with customer-facing chatbots, also known as assistants. And I think that that's almost more of a applicable term, or accurate term. Okay, so who am I? Just as a brief introduction, some of you know me. So for 20 years, I've been doing design, marketing, and a lot of event production back in the day. And that's how a lot of my friends know me, is through Mindshare events in Los Angeles. We had hundreds of events and thousands of presenters and tens of thousands of attendees over that decade. And now we do small dinner parties. In my 40s, I'm doing less large, huge things. During COVID, I really focused again on my digital marketing career, lots of web design, everything, all different platforms, everything from logo to launch and beyond, which brought me into this last year. I've actually written two books under my pseudonym. One was a real labor of love project. It was all about intentional communities. And the other, this year, that I actually wrote in 30 days, thanks to learning how to collaborate with AI, called Free to Roam, which I'll cover a little bit more in a second. But it was fascinating and it launched me on my AI journey. And then finally, just a fun thing, in case you didn't know, back in the dawn of Facebook, this was one of the earliest social media adventure projects, the Tuxedo Travels. We went across the world in tuxedos for 6 months for charity. We raised thousands of dollars and donated it all to local organizations and initiatives as we traveled through these places. And we just did it with tuxedos to be silly, but be silly with a mission. So that was really fun. Anyway, so my introduction to AI happened in April or so of this year. Got on the ChatGPT train and learned how to write really interesting and useful nonfiction books, weaving together the best that AI can do in terms of structure with the best that humans can do in terms of creativity, my own personal experiences and stories. Um, Got it on Amazon in 30 days, cloned my voice with AI. The AI read the audiobook better than a lot of human narrators, especially when a lot of authors try to narrate their books. I'm sure you've heard those. They have no business being narrators. They're great writers, possibly, but not great narrators. But it did great on Amazon. I got to the top of the travel tips category briefly. And it was really, like I say, my intro into AI. So what we're going to cover today. So we did our intros and some questions. I'm going to show you a couple of cool imagery and video advancements from the week. Jump into like an AI logo design, which I think would be fun. Talking about AI chatbots a little bit and assistants, and in particular, something I've been working on that I think could be really useful for businesses. And so that actually will bring us to the fun sales pitch at the end, which of course, by that point, if you've gotten your fill, you can sign off, but it wouldn't be a webinar without one of those. And so let's jump into it. Okay, so first of all, right off the bat, I want to just mention that I'm on X and LinkedIn and obviously Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And so this is where if you're interested in updates and news and even new videos that I produce throughout the week, you can find them pretty easily. So, and there's some really fun stuff that I put on here. So you can find me Project Fresh at Twitter. And I actually cover I have some cool tools that have been added. Similarly in LinkedIn, I post, which is Project Fresh is my handle. I post also like news articles as well as my videos and other webinars and things that I do. Instagram, which is projectfresh.ai. I have a lot of imagery experiments with prompts, if you like that sort of thing, and also short little reels that talk about my larger videos. I don't use Facebook that much, but I do cross-post videos there. And then on my YouTube, which is where I do more of my long form stuff. like I play with new tools and talk about new things that I've been creating. So that was just if you do want to keep up to date with it, those are my channels, Dougie Campbell on YouTube. So you can subscribe on there if you're into it. Okay, so first I wanted to just show you this very cool, and I'm going to do just briefly because this is brand new. At the same time as doing all this awesome stuff on imagery and text, video has been like coming a far way. And I'm just going to show you, there's been so many things recently, like animating old memes, actually creating movement and static images has been a lot of the focus, but also creating like visions of like faces or images of faces and turning them into video. Like you can actually turn yourself into a pretty interesting talking character, even with head movement and of course lip matching. But I thought that this was just announced this week, and this is really fascinating. This is how to turn an animated or how to turn a still image into animation using motion capture without even the need for. This is a perfect, I would say, like I mean, you can hardly tell. And so on my Twitter, I also showed how this works a little bit. With this example, this guy made this 3D model, and then I don't even think he needed his green screen. He was in his studio because at a certain point, like this used to be thousands of dollars and multiple people working on motion capture. So it's just so amazing to see what's happened in that realm. Um, okay, I wanted to, and it's not fully accessible yet, but I wanted to also say I did recently, in terms of images, speaking of which, I did a whole video about the latest imaging upscaling tool. And it's really quite impressive. It shines in certain areas. It's called Magnific. And I did a bunch of tests with different things. And some of the stuff was really less than impressive. Like, for example, okay, I'll start with my stepdad who was in World War II. It didn't really do too much to his face, but it did a lot. It did a lot more to small little details, like a little bit better. Actually, this was the one, sorry. It cleared up his face a little bit and it did some details like of the car. It just looks like his shoes, like a little crisper. I was like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. Let me try my first digital photo I ever took. Back 20 years ago, I was on my way to college. I had my first um, computer laptop and my laptop computer and my digital camera. So this is my first digital photo I ever took. And so I was like, oh, what a perfect example of a photo to play around with. So I tried this and it made me into a completely different 50-year-old man. So I was like, well, that is very bizarre. So I was a little bit like less than impressed with that. And the reason I thought that that would be cool, and I showed this on my Twitter, was I saw people have actually been animating, or sorry, making refined images out of old, grainy video game characters. So if you look at this, it literally takes an old video game. This was, I think, Street Fighter, and it makes them look at this guy. I mean, very impressive, right? So it's really cool to see. So I was less than blown away with this picture, obviously. And I was trying other things like this. It kind of made things a little crisper, but also quite noisy. I was really looking for the killer app. This didn't do too much. All right. And I finally found it here. This is an incredibly detailed image that I made using Dolly of a sort of steampunk golden dragon, white and gold dragon. So you'll see that a lot of the details, it's incredibly detailed, but as soon as you zoom in, it kind of like you lose it. So let's take a look at what it looks like when I put these details in, or when I put the before and after. So you can see the amount of details like it is adding is just really quite amazing. So you see that going from quite blurry to quite focused, all on its chest. Let's take a look at its face here. And you can see the level of detail that this somehow extrapolates is so impressive. Even things like, random stuff down here, like this guy's face, for example, he doesn't even have a face. It somehow is starting to realize how to get creative with additional things to add. Look at his belt, that like it completely begins to add things. And these legs are just so amazingly going from blurry to really quite detailed. So as soon as you actually look at this on this level, you can just see the whole thing gets so refined. So why would that be interesting? That's, for me, it was a fun experiment. But ultimately, if you're doing something like print or graphic design work, even logos, and you need to crisp something up, you got like a lower res thing. This was an incredible tool. There are other platforms like another one called runway.ml is doing their product is they do text to image. They do a lot of things like you can expand um, infinite image. So you can actually, this is just showing a brief thing. It actually, even if you have a small image, this can expand creatively all around the image. So it can make that up. This is another real big contender in the image and video space. All right, cool. So first of all, before we get into more chat GPT related stuff, does anybody have any questions of what we've covered so far? Just as a little bit of intro
Yeah,
to
can
things.
you put in the chat the links to these?
Yeah, I can. Actually, I'll send a follow-up
Okay.
email and I'll text it to everybody because then I can just get all the links.
Do you have all of our emails?
Yeah, you've been should be
Okay.
getting
Oh,
my texts and emails.
oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Thanks. Great.
I'll make sure to include them all in there.
Thank you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, isn't it cool? Okay, great. So next I'm gonna, unless there's any other questions, I want to continue to share a couple of interesting things and also leave enough time for questions at the end. So okay, so this was Runway, which I'll make sure to link to you guys too. All right, so let's talk about ChatGPT for a little bit. Has anybody not played with ChatGPT yet? Your basic ChatGPT looks just like this. It sometimes gives you some things to work with, and then you basically just enter your prompts in here. I think by this point, everybody's probably played with it to some degree. Now, the free one is okay. That's free 3.5. The paid one for 20 bucks, and there's actually, I think, a waiting list right now. To get on it, but it really does a whole lot more things, which are pretty cool. You can do attachments, you can analyze things like PDF images, you can actually create images right in line here. And so we'll play with that a little bit in a second. But one thing I also wanted to tell you about, and one of the reasons that I think, you know, these GPTs are so important is they recently launched something called GPTs. So ChatGPT is the main platform. GPTs are kind of like apps that sit on top of ChatGPT that anybody can create. And what's amazing is you can create them, and these are all ones that I've created. You can create them very simply with basic instructions and text instructions. It's very low code, which is what makes it so exciting. So I'll show you first one that I made called Optimism Bot. And this was my first one that I tried to just experiment with how to basically, I'll show you what I did for Optimism Bot. Uh, I literally said, basically with text, you're a relentless optimist. Your tone should be a wise old mentor. So I talk about the tone. I say I want it to, you know, let them talk about what's on their mind and if they have things they want to discuss. Um, talk about problems, but move on to solutions. I would love to, for personal issues, they should use their understanding of psychology. For larger issues, talk about like examples of places things are working, and also end with open-ended questions, all this kind of stuff, right? And ultimately, I'd like to leave people feeling that AI is a helpful tool. Okay, so that was just a short synopsis of what I said in there. It took some back and forth, but as you can see, it was no code. It was just conversational. And so now I could talk about, here I might have a feeling. I could say like I'm actually at home right now, but I could say I'm new to town and feeling a little lonely, right? And Optimism Bot should be able to now say, "Oh, welcome. It's always a little bit it's okay to feel lonely. Here are some things that you could do. Join local clubs or groups that align with your interests, etc." Right. So it's going to actually give some examples. And then it might even be like, hey, do you have any interests or hobbies that you might like to explore in your new town? And it could start to, um, you know, uh, give you more suggestions, and even possibly open it up to online searches integrated with Bing. I'm not going to get too into that because Bing can be a little bit like sporadic, but ultimately that's what it's trying to do. This was an example of a personal problem. Well, what about something like I don't know about where you all are, but I know in some places like Venice, for example, I could say I'm concerned um, about the homelessness crisis in Venice. Um, let's just say that. Let's see what Optimism Bot has to say. The homelessness crisis acknowledges the problem, but, and I learned this when I did a permaculture course, acknowledge the problem, but move on to solutions. And in this case, Optimism Bot actually talks about some, places where things are working. So it moves on to some initiatives, which is really cool. And here it even talks about in Venice, there is some organizations that and initiatives focused on providing solutions. And so that's really cool. And I could even get more into that. I could say, can you provide, more a list of, sorry, a list of local organizations and initiatives. And let's see, like, does it actually, let's see how up to date it is. Oh, so in this case, it is actually integrating with Bing and it's doing a search, which is cool. So we can see how this works. Once in a while, I've found that it gives me problems, but it looks in this case like you can actually see what websites it's visiting, which is really cool. But now you're starting to get an idea like, okay, cool. This was just with language. I trained this bot. Um, well, wow, what else could I do with that? And a couple of things that I did, I know there was somebody interested in writing on here, but this is relevant, is my alter ego that wrote those two books I talked about is Dougie Luxbot. Now at Dougie Luxbot, I told it to impersonate me, speak in the first person, and I uploaded to the custom GPT. I uploaded both my manuscripts. That's 300 pages. So at any time, and here's this is so great. I'm going to stop this because it's going to obviously go on, but like that's so cool to see. So Dougie Luxbot now sits here. It's a clone of this author, and I actually think one day books will all come with a chatbot that allows you to know more about the author. Give me a brief summary of the author's bibliography. Here as Dougie Lux, I've authored two books that delve into unique aspects of modern living and self-discovery. And so it's speaking in my tone. I've trained it on my tone. And so as you can see, you can do a lot of this with ChatGPT regularly. You can upload a tone, but every time you want to start a new chat, you need to train it on your tone again. Whereas in this case, Dougie Luxbot, and I can share this link with my readers, is ready to go at any point, any new chat. So I can say, give me or I can say, for example, I want to start a community with friends. What tips do you have? So we're successful. Okay, and even if you make spelling errors, it doesn't matter. ChatGPT usually figures it out. So now it's going to look into my searching my knowledge, and by that it means it's searching the attachments it has access to, and it's going to index all of it and collate it and start to pull out summaries and synopsis. So right off the bat, shared vision and financial alignment, super important when you're dealing with getting into business with people buying a community together, right? And you can start to narrow it down on any of these or even expand your search. Like what other tips might I consider, right? And so again, it's going to now know that those books that it's reviewed, and it's going to try to go a little bit more macro and see if like throughout the book, I had other tips that I might not have listed all together, but it's going to try to pull them out. So great. This is starting to get pretty interesting. Like, yeah, when you're forming a community, having these different skills, having good communication, all this kind of stuff, techniques for resolving issues, etc. So, all right, that's pretty cool, right? Well, this got me thinking of a couple of things. First of all, what else is out there that people are creating? And so before I show you the project sort of that I'm working on, that's really, really cool. I'm excited. It's going to be the last thing I share. And then we'll make sure to have some time for questions and whatnot. I wanted to show you this logo GPT. So there's this idea that these GPTs are going to be like the Apple Store of Chat GPT. And everybody can make their own and actually then link to them. And ChatGPT is going to either share revenue or even eventually be able to sell just like you would buy any app on the App Store. Okay, so this is one written by someone called Asai Rahul, and it's to design personalized logos from sketches. So at this point, let me ask, does anybody have like a fun, not too crazy complex logo that they would love to explore? You know, it can be silly, it can be serious, but does anybody have an example? If not, I can totally give an example too. Okay, well, what I like to do is combine sometimes different things and see how ChatGPT handles it. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to say I'd like to make a logo for my new company, um, Rabbit. I'm gonna call it Rabbit Rocket. I don't know what Rabbit Rocket does, but I'm just gonna say that because that's kind of like we're gonna see what ChatGPT can do with um, Rabbit Rocket. Okay, so it's gonna say, "Hey, do you have a sketch?" I'm gonna say, "You know what? I don't have a sketch." Okay, but now it's gonna be like, "Okay, I can, still help you out. Um, Here are some styles. So what do we want to do?" And I could choose, like, I'm gonna say, uh, mascot or geometric. And, I'm gonna say bold and colorful. I'll say let's go with number 8.
Like number 6. Can you
All
try?
right, we could try luxury and elegant after that. Let's see what it does for this. So do you want to include the name?
Do you think you could pick a combination too? Ask it to combine them?
That's a great question. Why don't we try to
Do a
do
few
that?
because I was thinking of the egotistic and natural. I mean, egotistic, ego and natural.
Ecocentric, eco-friendly. All right, let's see. Like let's go with this one so we can see how it does with the
Sure.
basic, and then let's see about combining styles. So, what background color do we want? I would say like let's go with a light blue. Oh, and it actually asked me if I wanted the name. And it says, okay, I'm going to incorporate Rabbit Rocket into the design. So before I create the logo, any specific elements or symbols you'd like me to include? I'd love there to be a rabbit riding a rocket into space. All right, let's just see what happens here. And so now ChatGPT is gonna give us some sort of image. And this is called multimodal. And this is where ChatGPT is going, is that it's going to eventually be voice is going to be your new language that we code with. And systems like this, like an assistant, which ChatGPT is, there's lots of different assistants, but eventually I think ChatGPT wants to be one of the best, right? And so eventually more things you're going to be able to do right from this chat box, which is really exciting. And so you can tell it did a pretty good job. It got the colors right. It got this funny thing. It's definitely bold and colorful. Now, a place that AI often messes up is with text. So like that's a case where you sometimes you still need a graphic designer. It can get you far, but sometimes you'll still need a graphic designer to be like, hey, can you come in here, clean it up, make it the spelling correct, right? Okay, so now we're gonna go back to how about this? How about I say, okay, I want to do another version with no text. No, without, I'm gonna say sometimes you have to be clear without the name um, of the company. I'd like the style to be a blend of um, eco-friendly and like these two, right? Is that what people said? Should we see what a totally random thing? A blend of eco-friendly and luxury. Let's try that. Does that sound good? Okay,
Sure.
let's see what happens. I've never tried to combine these before, so it's fun having folks on the call. Okay, so it's going to say, let's try another one. Do you have any specific imagery, such as I'll just say no. Let's go with the existing elements uh, and light blue again. All right, so maybe I could have tried a new color, but let's just see what happens. And so this is also sometimes faster than others, depending, I guess, on the complexity of the image, but also there's so much overload on ChatGPT right now because people are just loving it. There's even a waiting list for the Plus account, and I would recommend that you get on it because then whenever it is available, you'll be given access. All right, so is this?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Sorry.
no, it's totally awesome. And it really, first of all, it didn't acknowledge my instructions to not include the text. So like I say, it's not always 100% accurate. That's super fun. And what I could do is download that to maybe give to my graphic designer as one reference thing. And then I could go back here and say, all right, sometimes you might want to go back to a, an older prompt. And at any time you can and press this little pencil, this is kind of advanced. Not a lot of people know this. You can press this pencil and it will take you back to that moment in time. So I could actually say, don't include the text and don't include the name. Make it light blue and use the style, use an abstract or use a geometric. Let's maybe, and use a geometric style. I'll say colorful. Let's go like fuchsia. Let's go really crazy here. Fuchsia gradient background and use a colorful geometric style. Is that not how you spell fuchsia? Okay, there we go. So now, hopefully, because I went back, and if you, oh, that's going to be a bit of a problem. Let's see, 1241. Okay, well, that is surprising because I've only done a few prompts today, so that's a little bit disappointing. So basically, I have to wait then maybe 6 minutes or 7 minutes or so. But because you're meant to get 50 every 3 hours, sometimes you get less depending again on the uh, the amount of traffic that the site is having. So,
Doug, 50 what? 50 requests?
oh, 50 requests. Yeah, every one of these is a prompt, they call it, or a request. And typically you get 50 every 3 hours. It used to be 25, but I think that sometimes they just have a lot of overload. So while we wait for that to be, I think it's like in 5 minutes, it should be active again. I'd love to just bring it back to talk about our businesses. Okay, so and just a little bit of how to think about AI in general, because what I've noticed is that there's such an overload of tools right now. There's so many out there that are everyday new tools, and it can be quite overwhelming, right? And for people that already have jobs, they're like, well, like I don't have time to also be combing through all these articles and tools and staying on top of it. And it can actually feel overwhelming to the point where people then just like, you know what, I don't even have time for this. And that's not what we want. So one solution, and David, I'll come to you in a second, is personally for me, I really think about my business in an analytical way now. And I think about what are my processes that are recurring? What are things that are tedious? What are things that I would love to outsource? What are things, and then if I wanted to, how do I request? How, from a human, would I request what I wanted, like an assistant? Can I ultimately, succinctly, and clearly communicate that? Because effectively, that's what AI is teaching us how to do. And it's so funny to see that a lot of the majors that our parents used to lament, things like philosophy and English lit or English majors and communication majors, whatever, they now are being so valued because people that can clearly elicit and succinctly put what they want into words can now effectively deal with AI. And so the lesson there is the more that we can clearly see what is feeling repetitive, what is feeling tedious, how could I give an assistant that? Well, that's a great opportunity to start to look into ChatGPT, for example, and be like, hey, uploading this spreadsheet. Can you do something in the fourth column? Or I'm going to upload a giant PDF and be like, hey, can you summarize and give me 10 action items from this? There's tools like, even for, of course, like meetings, that I'm sure some of you have seen, maybe some of you have used, where there's often a note taker or like an otter right there at the Zoom. And it then sends you a video of the meeting. That's great, but also fully summarized with action items where people were talking, what they mentioned, and all that kind of stuff. And so the idea of things that were tedious, that I think is a great starting point. And I would love to just talk about, if people have ideas about maybe in their businesses, things that they could really find help with. So, but before we do that, why don't we go to David? And I see you have your hand raised. So what were you going to say?
Yeah, sure. I think this is pertinent for everybody. I have a business, an online business, where I have clients that come on, and we have an FAQ section. It seems like that's old school for what we're talking about now, where we've actually typed in the questions and the answers for them to select, as opposed to they can ask any question now. But my question to you is, taking a GPT like you created, how do we embed that into our website for our clients to be able to type in their question to resource all of the data that we might be able to upload to access that?
Yeah. So, okay, to just talk about your first point, which was the FAQs. Yeah, so let me tell you a few use cases that I've used, and I don't need to actually do this in ChatGPT. Although, by the way, when you do run out of credits, you can always use the free version. It's the paid version that's really that you get limited on. So I could go back to the 3.5 and even show you some stuff in there in the meantime. But I can also just describe it. So, for example, if you say like, I have a course that I'm teaching about, well, we could actually just try it. Let's see if it works with 3.5. Can you all see my screen again? Okay, so I'm going to start a new chat here, and I'm going to turn on 3.5. It says 40 messages every 3 hours. I think I was probably doing some stuff this morning and I exhausted them, but hopefully it works again in 5 minutes. So I could say I'm doing a training for executives. I'll say a pricey training for executives to learn how to incorporate AI into their internal workflows, something like this. I'm just going to see about this experiment. I'd like to create an FAQ section for the sales page that helps them understand what they'll need to know, and also helps them overcome their concerns. Something like this, And what this is going to be, this isn't going to be perfect, but this is going to be, a great starting point. So let's take a look. Like, what's the primary goal? Who should attend? What prior knowledge do you need? How will this program benefit the organization? What will the curriculum look like? What's the duration of the training program? Similar questions. So that's why it always needs a human. But it kind of goes through, if I have concerns about the ethical implications of AI in my industry, is there support afterwards? So you see right off the bat, we really like had a great starting point. And so I do this a lot with landing pages or sales pages. I can feed in stuff and ask it questions. I can actually have, and I would love to show this once let me see, I'm going to give it a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to show you this something that we can see this actually in action. To answer your other question, David, basically, this custom GPTs are kind of a playground, an inexpensive playground, actually, because it's just $20 a month, and you get them, you get access to them to build them and to get access to other people's, like the logo one. Okay. Which, by the way, maybe we should just see if that one's working right now. If I still had it, I'm going to try to save and submit it again. Let's see. Okay, so now it looks like my things have been reset. So we'll come back to that in a second. Oh, I wasn't sharing my screen, but I basically was able to just start that image. So we'll do that one, and then I'll show you something. But to your point, Okay, so there's internal and external chatbots that you might have. For internal use, it might be fine. This little, I think for small businesses, having a chat GPT for your internal usage, and I'm going to show you one of those that I'm working on, is maybe okay. If you want more enterprise level, if you want embedding in your website, you currently can't do that with ChatGPT, but there's a whole lot of other existing chatbot programs that you can also use to design. They're usually more pricey, but you can have internal ones for all certain types of your team, whether they're in marketing, whether they're in the strategy or analysis groups, web design. They can have their own specifically trained chatbots internally. For external, you can train chatbots on all your company's data. You can keep it private and safe, and it can provide everything from customer support in between your working hours to deeper understanding of products to tutorials and things like that. So that's to answer your question. That's how you actually embed them, is with other sort of more robust tools. But you can even search for chatbot apps. And that's something I know a lot about too. So if you want to take that conversation offline, I'm always happy to talk about these things. And okay, so if we don't have any more questions, I wanted to show you something that I've been working on. And let's also see at the same time. And hopefully my credits have been reset enough. Okay, so check this out. A totally different example of the rabbit rocket with the fuchsia background and a bold, colorful geometric style. All right, so how cool is that? Now, next thing that I wanted to show you, and the last thing before we kind of finish up and have any final questions, is this Brandbot concept that I've been working on. So the idea behind this is I have figured out how to train one of these custom GPTs to completely understand my brand. And so I've trained it with some instructions. I went through a pretty exhaustive process of training it on, and I can actually show you the basic summary of things is like sort of how it's made, or it's like, actually, I don't know if I don't want to get too complicated with things right now, but basically this is trained on everything from my target audience to the tone of my brand, to my offerings, to my authority and my background as an individual. So you can imagine this could even have your entire team's individual team members. This can have basically all your website content. A lot of it, is pulled into this. So it has all your about section, that it has all your products and services that you offer, right? But you can also create custom features and prompts. And so some of the things I'm going to show you today with use for this is, let's just right off the bat, when you come here, these are conversation starters. I can say, hey, what sort of tasks can you help me with Project Fresh Brandbot? And now what it'll do is it'll go and search all of the things that we've trained it on. And so as Project Fresh's Brandbot, I can assist you with a variety of tasks related to the brand, its offerings, and marketing strategies. Here's a breakdown of some of the things, right? So business strategy, it can do research and analysis, like SWOT analysis. It can, look at, competitors, even integrate with Bing to search other competitors' websites and see where you might differentiate. Content marketing, which is obviously a lot of my background, is design, or is like digital marketing and web design. So this can be really helpful. Everything from tutorials, courses, posts, LinkedIn articles, etc., which we'll talk about in a second. Another really useful thing is considering offerings that you might not currently have. I can provide detailed information about Project Fresh offerings, including all the offerings that I have, but also find maybe some niches that I haven't explored yet by looking at my existing offerings and then looking at my skills and maybe finding some things that I haven't quite taken advantage of. So news articles, custom prompts, which is very cool, and other sorts of things that it can help out with. So these are some things that we could explore more deeply. I could also say, list my current offerings. And this will hopefully just do a quick list and summary of what I currently offer. So again, it's got to search the knowledge. And as you do this, it should get faster, like as the chat goes, because once it searches it once, sometimes it has to do it again, but generally it gets a little bit quicker. So here are the things that I offer. My consulting call, I offer a Thinker to Thought Leader program, which is really building course platforms for people And then I have a few courses, which AI for entrepreneurs and thought leaders to really up their content production and their social media stuff and scheduling. AI for coaches and course instructors that helps them validate courses before they actually do all the work. And people teaching people how my nonfiction writing process went for my book, and AI for brands and businesses. And that's what I've been working on lately. So I'm going to tell you more about that. And then I have some cool custom AI tools that I have. And so it knows my tone, it knows all my offerings. Like, how cool is this? So I can say, like, okay, now I can say, like, all right, say I wanted to do, a post about like my course design. So let me do something about like say a news article about online education trends. Okay. So something like that. And I'm going to say I want it to be news. I want it to be from, ideally, let's see, can I do a date in this tools recent past 24 hours, say? Um, so I could look in here, global perspective on online courses and career development. I don't know if this would be necessarily, I'm going to say like maybe online course creation trends. How about that? All right. And then past 24 hours, 10 ways to make money with ChatGPT and transform your learnings into earnings. All right. So what I could do is potentially come in here and take all of this and I would say I want to read it. It's a big article, but I would just take this and say, come on back to my Brandbot and say, okay, I want you to write a LinkedIn post summarizing or taking some key points from the following article and infusing my goodness, cannot spell today. I mean, again, infusing it didn't even get that. All right. To write a LinkedIn post and infusing my and I would say AI for coaches and course instructors course in a tactful way to encourage to I guess to promote. I'm going to say instead of promote, I'm going to say instead of infuse, I'll say to promote my AI for coaching in a tactful way. So I think like just like that. So let's see what happens when I do that. Because what it's doing now is it's going to need the article I mentioned. Could you please provide the article? And I need to paste that in. So it was smart enough to realize that I'd forgotten to paste that in. All right, here's the article. And I literally go back to this tab, copy everything, back to this window, paste it all in. And it's going to now look at this article. It's going to look at my offering of the course. It's going to use my tone that I've trained it on, and it's going to create this LinkedIn post. So it's going to talk about some of the stuff that were some key insights. And again, sometimes this is usually a starting point, and then you have to go back and tweak it. But then it sort of talks about what's important, some things that you can do in the news, and then it integrates the course in some way that is clever. And sometimes you got to massage it, but ultimately this is pretty cool to see. And I could even at this point, because imagery is infused in here, I could say, great. Can you create an image for that post? And then right here, it's going to look at that post and find some elements that it could be nice. Because, posts with images are always a lot better. So we'll give that a second.
We see you, but we don't see your screen.
Oh, we see the screen.
Oh, okay. And
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. My bad. I don't. Maybe I just need to move along.
I'll share it again and let's see. All right. And so this is an example. This is taking a little bit of a long time. So I'm going to refresh this page. And there was an error generating it. So I'm going to just try this again and see if it works this time. Oh, funny. It's now saying it can't create images directly, which is, we've already seen it do that, which maybe that means that the DALL-E integration is offline for some reason. What I could do to try that is stop this. I could take this post and just start it in a new chat. Because like sometimes ChatGPT does get overwhelmed, and just say, create an image for this post. I'm just going to paste it in, and let's just see if a fresh window allows me to. Oh, I did it in the wrong. I did it in 3.5. You can only do images in 4. Create an image for this post. All right, and let's see if it pulls up. If it doesn't, that means some of like the DALL-E image integration, which we just saw. Okay, here it is. It's working. So like I say, sometimes there's a little bit of a glitch that you just get used to navigating when you're working with this. So while that's doing its thing, we'll come back to it in a sec. I want to show you a couple of other things that we could do here. So this Brandbot, this is where it starts to get really interesting. Well, a couple of things that I'd love to show you. First of all, help me brainstorm a new product to offer is really interesting. And this should now look at my skills and my current offerings and think about a few things that I could consider. Brainstorming a new product involves, so here are some things that I can, yeah, so this is great. I'm going to say, use, these are all different things to consider when creating new offerings, but I'm going to say, I'm going to actually stop this here because maybe I could get a little more clear here based on my brand and offerings. Help me brainstorm a new product to offer my target audience. And so now it should, with that bit of a clearer question, and this is really where the language again comes back into it, it should know. All right, so given your background, and it knows my background, giving your background in digital marketing, AI tool and knowledge sharing, and your focus on helping small business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals streamline workflows, here's a few ideas. And so it's going to just start to create some cool ideas. Personalized AI consultation platform, an AI-powered business analysis tool, interactive AI workshop series, which is actually great. It's like, I think in 2024, I'm going to launch a official weekly thing. These are my test webinars that I'm having right now. But I could get more focus for business in 2024. So this has already given me some really cool low-code automation toolkits for small businesses. It's another thing that I'm already beginning to play around with. Customized AI web design service, another great thing because it's completely transformed my industry. I hadn't even thought about that, something that I could do with my existing tool set. So you right off the bat, I could think about that, and then I could say, wow, create a simple sales page for number 7. Okay, and then it will look at that. Here's a page that I could immediately knock out and make some cool images with it and put it up there, put a lead magnet or a way to contact me, and just see if any, like maybe run an ad to it and just see if this new business idea, has any traction, right? I mean, how cool is that? So here are the things that I can do with AI, and I already know how to do a lot of this stuff. It like knows me well enough to be offering things that are aligned with my abilities. So I'm going to stop it there. It'll go through its whole thing. Because other thing I wanted to show you is, so that was like brainstorm new product offerings. And by the way, you could go back to that and you could say then, create a post about this, create a tweets about this. But related to the social media stuff, I think this is also really fascinating. You can also train it on what your week looks like for your content schedule. And I can literally right here, either write this out or click on it as a conversation starter. And it's going to know what my brand is, who my target audience is, my tone of voice, and what I'm trying to promote as my knowledge. It's also going to look at the schedule that I provided of what I typically post, and it's going to give me a week's worth of inspiration for my, platforms that I put in there. Okay, so what we're seeing here is just the tip of the iceberg of how this can help us create. I mean, I could even say, like, I'm going to go back to, I could actually say, I wanted to see if this has a podcast in it because I haven't started my podcast yet, but I'm hoping in 2024 to. But I could also begin to say, make me a podcast video script. So I could actually even go back to that, recent chat I just had. I could stop this. You get the idea. And I could go back to this other chat that where I had, let's see, was it here? Yeah, and I could say, instead of creating a simple sales page, I could say, can you create a short YouTube video for me that video script for me that promotes number 7. All right. And so again, it's going to use what it just, oh, that was customized. Yeah, customized AI web design service. And so it's going to use, again, all of my brand information to create this script while promoting this potential new website offering, right? And so it can completely, talk about, what I should mention and how much time I should use on each of those topics. And it goes through, and I could even add a guest and what questions that I would want to give the guest, right? So it's this really profound thing. And the last thing I want to show you before opening this up to questions is, and doing my final little spiel, is you can also add custom prompts, which is really cool. And I might have to stop this. Okay, it created an image. So that was the image it created for my post. I know I'm jumping around a little bit here, but it's pretty cool. It doesn't use my brand colors, and that's something I'd like to really hone to see if that's possible. So instead of this being bluish, I'd love to see if I could make it purplish because my brand is purple. So that's going to be something I'm working on this, immediately too. So that was that. But on this, you can also upload custom prompts. And in fact, any sorts of prompts. I uploaded a lot of business related prompts. I can say what categories of business or related prompts can you help with? All right. And so I've uploaded hundreds, maybe even like 1,000 different prompts that I can at any point dig in and ask it more about any of these types of business related categories that I'd like to. I can make it create pitch decks, sales scripts, sales emails. I mean, that's something I didn't even show you for that. Like, for example, for that sales page, I could create like a little funnel system where it captures the email, and then I could create 3 or 5 weekly emails that get sent out related to the offering that the person expressed interest in. So, okay, those are the sort of regular prompts. I could also say, what are my custom prompts? And these would be something that you work on a business per business level, business by business level. And let's see, it should find the prompts that you uploaded separately, and it should itemize those. And those might be things that you use regularly and that you might want to just pull up real quickly. So, and I know we've just hit 1 o'clock, so I wanted to wrap this up. You get the idea. I think basically with that, I'm not going to spend too much more time on that, but it should spit out the custom prompt. All right, so to wrap this all up, I wanted to show that I do offer various courses. If you're interested in some of the things that I talked about today, they're all 20% off with this code. These are my previous courses, and that can help you do everything from the writing to the course creation and social media stuff. And I'll send you this link. But I'm going to offer now this brand new assistant chatbot course, and that's how to make one of those brand bots. And right now, and it's going to be how to set up your own custom chat GPT, how to train it on all your data, and how to use it. And so that's going to be basically the 3 modules with a little bonus one of some other tools and things that are helpful. And so there's going to be a course that you can take, and there's going to be a live cohort where we build it together. And then it's my ability just to do it for you. And that's when I consult with you on your specific needs. And so this is like 3 accessibility levels. And the course is going to be $197. This is actually meant to be $397 there. And then $997 for the custom package, which ultimately ends with me doing it all for you and then training you on it. But I've got the, obviously the webinar discount that's going to give 20% off the other courses, but 50% off all of these. So this is going to be $99 for the course for how to do this, the pre-recorded videos, $199 we'll do it together, and $799 that I do it for you. So I'm gonna actually, I can send this link out and this code. And the dates are gonna basically be, I think I'm going to use this month to really perfect it all and really create the whole system. And then come the, I think early January, I'm going to put the course on sale for the regular price. And then we're going to start with the first cohort in the 22nd of January. So is there any questions? I'll open the floor to questions about what we covered today, or the assistant chatbot idea, or the course. Feel free to unmute yourself and just popcorn it.
A general question: everything that you put in, like your brand information, is stored forever, so you don't have to upload it a second time if you're asking it.
Yeah, that's what makes this so valuable. Like, it's just sits there like its own version of ChatGPT. At any point, it's ready to go.
Is there a limitation in how much you can upload to? I think there was some, like if it's PDFs or characters or pages.
The limit of the actual documents is 10, but it's no real limit to how much is included in those documents. So at this point, I have 6 or so in this template that I'm working on. That is really pretty cool because they can be simple text, but they could also be things like spreadsheets or PDFs.
So I could, for example, compile a bunch of articles in my Adobe and make it a single PDF that could be very, very large, and it counts it as only one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
PDFs are a little slower. If you can do it in text documents, it's better because it's just faster. But ultimately it can do PDFs and a lot of other file types too.
Yeah, I have one resource that's got over 1,000 articles about the subject matter. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, so I manually should just compile them into one PDF and say, here's my resource, and that's one of my things it can do.
Yeah, totally.
That's great, because I've been looking at that. I mean, literally, it's over 1,000 articles.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I'm never going to get to read all this, but this is now available. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of my clients that I'm working with has 1,000 minutes of transcripts and wants to put a book together based on it. And so we're using a custom chat GPT or a custom, GPT to analyze and create structure and, generate, his tone and actually the whole framework and eventually the production of the chapters themselves. So we want you to ever share with anybody. It's a completely just personal research tool. So like I say, that's so cool. You can do a personal research tool. You can do something for your internal company workings, and you can do something even for the public. And like this chat GPTs, these custom GPTs, they're less powerful than some of the enterprise level chatbots out there. So like, again, you can't embed them, but they're so accessible, like you see. Right?
Perfect. Well, thank you. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing because for years I've been holding off having to hire somebody to do this, and now I pay $20 a month or go even 3.5. Yeah, I noticed, by the way, just info, 3.5 sometimes goes so much faster than 4.
Yeah,
it's just because
for basic stuff. 3.5 is really great for some basic analysis and generation of content. However, 4 is superior in terms of being able to creatively summarize things, compare things, combine things, and follow a tone that you want to stick to. So for brand specific stuff where tone's really important, or writing a book, for example, 4 is still superior.
That's great. Sometime offline, I have some experiences that I could share. I know we're out of time now, but it's been really fun playing with it. That I'd love to share.
Awesome. Yeah, that would be fun. And I'll send out links to everything that we covered today. And so unless there's any other questions, we can wrap it up. And I really appreciate everybody's time.
Thanks, Doug. It's great. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Good to see you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.